Hello and welcome to Back to the Future. Today we're doing the Romanticism, and the Romanticism is not very romantic. Bit of context here. Romanticism is said to start in England in around 1791-ish and last until 1830. It started with the publishing of lyrical ballads by Wordsworth and Coleridge. It was published anonymously, so no one knew who they were, but by the second edition it came, they both confessed and they wrote a small introduction. This is a common thought, but the Romanticism is not lovey-dovey and romantic per se. Romanticism is filled with the sublime. Now, the sublime is, imagine standing in the Alps, in the middle of mountains, looming over you. It's dark, but it's lightning, because the weather is horrible. That is the sublime. It sort of stretches reality and nature to its breaking point, both with good things and with bad things. Mostly with bad things, which is why you have books like Frankenstein. It's also a lot of nature and the moving away from the city. They try to get away from this entire urban city life and the industrialism that was happening. They wanted to connect with the nature. Now, this wasn't necessarily something sweet and nice. As I said, it could be quite horrendous. One of my favourite things with the Romanticism was that it brought poetry to the females. Before this, women were allowed to write. There was no rules against it. Also, many novels were published by females. Nothing wrong with that, but they did not dabble in poetry. Poetry was a higher art, a bit like it is now really, by the pretentious point of view. And women weren't supposed to be there. They would allow, with the low ground, with the novel. But then came Charlotte Smith. She was a woman who was married to this awful man who gambled away all the money and ended up in jail. She ended up in a house for people who were married to people in jail with her kids. And to make money, she started writing poetry. She made enough money and the husband was released and he started wasting her money all over again. But she sort of opened the world of poetry for females. Also, one of the best stories in the entire history of literature is from the Romanticism. Mary Shelley and Percy Bysshe Shelley started a relationship. Mary was 16, Percy was around 25, I think, 23, 24, 25. He was married and had kids. They escaped to the continent, Germany, Switzerland, France, that area, and they went to Lake Geneva. There, they visited their good old pal, Lord Byron, the rock star of the time. Everyone loved Lord Byron. Even I love Lord Byron now, even though he was an arrogant dick. He had so many sexually transmitted diseases that he was limping. He didn't care. Mary Shelley brought her stepsister, or half-sister. I'm not really sure about this one or the other. And Lord Byron had his doctor there, Dr. Polidori. Now, it is said that the hotel guests on the other side of the lake, facing Lord Byron's house, complained that there was too much partying. They thought they were devil worshippers. It was so loud. And I find it hysterical that this group of people were just partying so hard. Then Mary lost her firstborn. This was really tragic for her, and we have no really idea how she and Percy handled this. Percy already had kids and a wife. Now, later in the summer, there came a suggestion to the house. They would try to have a competition about who could write the most horrible, scary story. Dr. Polidori, he wrote Vampire, which is often credited to Lord Byron, but it isn't by Lord Byron. Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein, which is by far the most known product of that summer by Lake Geneva. It is influenced by her losing a child, growing up with no mother, and probably the technological advanced science that they saw at the time. Another amazing book that came at this point in literary history is The Monk by Matthew Lewis. I've talked a lot about The Monk. It is one of my favourite books because it is so good and scary and horrible. The thing is, you have to read it all. You can't just read halfway because it is a bit slow in the beginning and you go then thinking, I don't know. But I promise you, it'll all be worth it in the end. And trigger warnings, it is explicit and horrible in all kinds of ways. So if you want to read something from the Romantic period, you could go for poetry. Wordsworth, Coleridge, William Blake, Keats, Lord Byron. There are so many to choose from. Charlotte Smith is the one that I would suggest you read. You have books, you have Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Matthew Lewis's The Monk, Thomas de Quincey's Confessions of an Opium Eater. There's so much to grasp. And please, please remember, it's not a happy period in literature history. It is good, but do not expect happiness. That was this week's episode of Back to the Future. Next part will be about the Victorian and the Victorial supernatural. If you liked it, let me know down below. Please comment, we can have a discussion, I love this. Like, share, subscribe, and do all that jazz. And I will see ya soon. Bye!